After a relationship ends, or even after things start to fall apart, there's usually a strong pull to have one more conversation, one more chance to explain, to be understood, to hear something that finally makes it all make sense. Kind of feels like a closing moment that brings everything to rest. And most people call that closure, but this is where something important needs to be understood. Closure doesn't actually come from a conversation because what most people are looking for in that conversation isn't just information, it's a feeling, a sense that everything has settled, that what happened is complete, that they can finally let go without something still pulling them back. And when I say complete, I don't just mean that you understand what happened. I mean, your body no longer feels like it needs to go back to it. There's no tension trying to resolve something, no pull to replay it again. That's what most people are actually looking for. But that feeling doesn't come from words alone. It comes from your nervous system returning to a state of safety. And a conversation can't create that. You might have experienced this before. You finally have the conversation. You say everything you needed to say. They explain their side. Maybe they even apologize. And for a moment, it feels like things are a little bit clearer. There's a bit of relief now. But later, the those same thoughts start coming back. The same feeling returns. That sense of unfinished is still there. You might notice it as a kind of tension or a pull in your chest or your mind drifting back to the same moment again, even when you're trying to focus on something else. And that can feel confusing because it feels like I got the answers, so why don't I feel better? It's because closure isn't created by understanding something once. It's created when your system has fully processed the experience. And when I say processed, I don't mean thinking about it more. I mean your body has moved through the emotional charge that the experience created. That might include feeling what you didn't fully feel in the moment, letting tension release, allowing your system to settle without trying to rush it. When the emotional charge settles, your body no longer feels pulled back into it. There's no urgency to go over it again. That's closure, not the conversation itself. And sometimes going back for one more conversation actually makes that harder because instead of letting the experience settle, you're reactivating it. You're putting your system back into that same emotional state that it was trying to come out of, bringing the same tension back up, the same uncertainty, the same emotional charge. You're basically reopening something that your system was slowly trying to close. Even if the conversation is calm, your body can still feel that familiar activation underneath it. And that delays the process of it actually settling. Not because it's wrong to want closure, but because the way we've been taught to look for it is incomplete. We're taught that closure comes from clear answers, mutual understanding, or a final resolved conversation. Something that ties everything together neatly. But real closure is quieter than that. It happens internally, gradually. As your system stops trying to resolve what has already happened, you might notice it as less tension when you think about them, less urgency to replay conversations, less emotional pull to reach out. And even when you do think about it, it doesn't pull you in the same way that it used to. Not because you force yourself to move on, but because your body has finally settled. And this is why, even without a final conversation, closure can still happen. And also why, even with one, it sometimes doesn't. So if you've been feeling that pull to go back, to say one more thing, to understand one more piece, there's nothing wrong with that. That's your system trying to resolve something. But it's worth asking, am I looking for information or am I looking for a feeling? Because if it's a feeling, that's something that happens inside your own system, not something you can get from someone else. And as your system processes the experience, that feeling comes naturally. Not all at once, but slowly, gradually, without you needing to force it. Until one day you think about it and there's nothing left pulling you back. In the next video, we're going to go deeper into something that happens after this. Why you start to understand the other person's side only later, and why that kind of empathy is almost impossible to access when you're still inside the moment.